Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I'm Katie Sevenance, and I'm your host of Business by Design's Tips from the Top. I am so excited to share with you our guest today because she is an amazing speaker and coach. She does a lot in the community for women in business too, and you are going to love the tips that are shared from Sandy Lamb. Business by Design Online is an online education system. We have all kinds of online courses available for women, whether you're starting a business or you just need some support as you grow your business so you can take it to the next level. These tips that we share with you every Tuesday and Friday are just to help you maybe take that next step or put something into place immediately. So don't just listen and not do anything. We want you to take action steps to really change your business. So let me bring our guest up today. You are going to love meeting Sandy because she's one of my favorite people. Sandy, thank you so much. Yay. I'm glad you're here. We are excited to have you because I know you have quite the busy schedule and you've been a world traveler, even when we're all kind of stuck at home. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you live in Colorado Springs, because that's where we met through networking. You're married?
I am. Yes. Thank you so much, Katie, for having me. I really appreciate it. And of course, I would make time for this, no matter how busy I am.
I love it. I'm so glad.
Yes. I live in Colorado Springs and I am married to my husband, Mike, for 23 years.
Awesome. So your children are similar ages to mine, aren't they? Do you have all three girls?
No, I have girl, boy, girl. So I have an 18-year-old who, just like you, I moved into college this year. She's going to CU Boulder. And then I have a son who's a senior in high school and a daughter who's a freshman.
Okay. So yes, my middle, we just shipped off our youngest to college in Arizona. So it's been crazy. Just like, okay, it's 2 weeks today. So
how are you holding up? How are you holding up, Katie?
It really helps when I stay busy because then I don't think about it as often. But yeah, it's a challenge being that far away. And with everything that's kind of up in the air, you just don't know.
My daughter and I FaceTimed for about an hour the other night, and it was just awesome that we could, that helps too, to just be able to see them.
Yeah.
Right?
We do that all the time. What did people do when there wasn't FaceTime?
I know. Amen.
Yeah.
I wonder the same thing.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. All right. So Sandy, you tell us a little bit about your business, because we shared that you're a coach and you really focus on helping women become more confident in a male-dominated world, right? That's kind of where you started. What got you interested in that?
So my background is I worked 27 years in engineering and construction. And so I was always the only woman at the table for the most part. So that's where it started, really. It was a passion of mine to navigate my way through that industry. I just had tremendous people that helped me along the way. And so when I started Altitude Business Coaching, which is my company, and fun fact, if I don't know if I've told you this or not, Katie, actually it's the initials are A, B, and C for my company. And those are also my kids' initials. So it's Ainsley, Brendan, and Caitlin. And they were really the impetus for me starting the company, just because I wanted to finally be home for them and didn't want to have them move again. And in my career, I moved a lot. They were very flexible. So this was my opportunity to give back to them when they were in high school and not move them. And, they've made some great friends here in Colorado. So I didn't want to interrupt that. But anyway, when I originally launched my company, I actually started coaching women entrepreneurs. And so I was coaching small business owners when I originally launched in January of 2018.
Okay.
And then it just didn't feel authentic to me, because I was in such a large company and corporation my entire career that while I could do business, my background's in MBA, so I can do business and strategic planning and business planning. It wasn't really my passion. So I decided I really wanted to give back to these women in corporate and coach them through an executive coaching program rather than through a business coaching program. So I got certified as an executive coach and started doing that. And it's been so great ever since. Like, it's just, when it's the right fit, right, for you.
Oh, that's good. Well, and there's so many women, I think, that just need that can use that little extra boost and like confidence, like I can do things, I can do this. And I love seeing what we've accomplished as women when we come together and lift each other up, where we can go and where we can take that in business and in life. So I love that you're doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And launching my own business also gave me an opportunity to do stuff on the nonprofit side and the volunteer side that I never had time to do in corporate. So we were talking earlier, I'm chair for two groups in Colorado Springs. One is the Women's Foundation of Colorado, and the other is Forward Colorado Springs, which is a Christian women in the workplace organization. So, and like I was telling you, we're talking this month, our discussion in the month of October is on leading with emotional intelligence. This also happens to be what I speak around the country on. So
Yeah.
I love it when these worlds collide, and that just reinforces more for me that I'm really in alignment. I think it's super important with women in business to just feel like they are in alignment and leading authentically. So that comes about when you really lead with your values, right? And so my values of faith and family come across, in what I do at Forward, and also what I do with the Women's Foundation.
I love that you're able to now take that time and your knowledge and share that and volunteer. Because I know with 3 kids growing up, there's days where you want to do that, but you're so busy. You're just going all the time. And when you can have your own business, it allows you to really share some of that with other people. And I love Forward. I've been to, I think, 2 meetings, but great group of women and great education.
You need to come back this month and talk about emotional intelligence.
I know, that would be awesome. I would love it. That's awesome. I'll keep a watch out for that too. So that's great. So tell us a little bit now. This year has been crazy for everyone. We know that. Has there been a struggle for you? Have things shifted in your business? Do you do it a little differently? Is there a challenge maybe that you've gone through this year?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's, I was talking with a friend of mine over the weekend, and Jess Sato, who and we were talking about this year, and, my work has always been from home. So from that perspective, it hasn't felt that different to me. And I am a firm believer that, your thoughts drive everything, right? So if you're going to dwell in that negative energy and those negative thoughts, then that's what's going to come, then that's how it's going to manifest itself. So I have, and I'm not saying it's always easy, right? But I have really kept a very positive mindset, a really positive attitude all year. And it's been a great year. In July of this year was my biggest year grossing month that I've had since I started my business. So it's just coaches need coaches, and people need coaches in the midst of everything that's happening right now. So it's been a great year from that perspective. So, not to say, I guess in some ways what I did a little bit, I just thought about this with my business, was I actually extended the opportunity for people to take a stress quotient assessment, which is one of the assessments that I'm certified through TTI to do. While I normally focus on EQ, the emotional intelligence, there's also a stress quotient one. And so it's not a question of whether people were experiencing stress or not this year. It was a question of how much, and how did you manage it, right? So I had an opportunity to offer out these assessments to them, and then we sort of did a group debrief, and I think it really helped people, to just, even if we were virtually and on Zoom, to have people come together and share the things that they're experiencing and be able to learn from one another. So from that perspective, I guess that was something that I did that I wouldn't, isn't normally a part of my offering, but it was an opportunity for me to take advantage of something that I think people could really benefit from this year.
I love that. Do you think your success this year, like you said, July being your biggest month, is because people need coaches? What do you think changed that helped you grow so much in July?
Well, it was really a timing issue. So I spoke at a Women in Nuclear conference last year, because several of those Women in Nuclear, that's an organization that I used to be a member of. when I was working in nuclear power.
Oh,
And
cool.
so, yeah, I said, it's funny because there are few women that can say they worked in nuclear power and chemical weapons destruction. And so it's kind of awesome. But at the same time, it makes me really motivated to do the work that I'm doing. And so I speak at those conferences because these women are inundated with training that is very, very technical and very compliance and safety related, because they work in high risk industries, which is what I did my whole career. So to be able to give them something that is like, that just feels like, like it's something they haven't experienced anywhere else. Anyway, the long and the short of it was I connected with a lot of women at that conference. And one of my tips that I was going to give you is, the importance of being relationship focused. And I know we talk about that a lot, but in theory, people don't always do that. They're still always looking to, especially if you come from a scarcity mindset, you're going to have a tendency to, just take people in. And I'm very picky, honestly. I'll be honest with you. I'm super picky because I want it to be a good fit for me and I want it to be a good fit for them. Because if it's not, we're not going to be successful, and it's going to reflect poorly on both of us. So I had this opportunity to meet women that worked in the industry that I used to work in, connected with them, and nurtured that relationship for 6 months. And so I had some clients that came in October, and my average coaching thing is 3 months, but I will tell you, for the clients that I have now, I've been working with them for 6 months or more. So I was able to like build that up, and it just happened at the time, that I'm working with them monthly. So that all came together. And then there were some other things that came in that added additional revenue, that I wasn't expecting. So that's how it really came together. But it wasn't like, all of a sudden people had this epiphany that they needed a coach. And I want to emphasize that, because it really is important to me that I build relationships with people before I start to work with them. Because when you're spending the kind of money that you spend on coaching, you're not going to do it just with somebody that you just met, right? So that is a tip for me, and that's true of anybody in business, right? We talk about that in DOTS a lot too. That it's really about getting to know somebody on a level where you're comfortable working with them.
I think that's really true. Speaking of that being a tip and building that relationship, what do you do to create that relationship and to strengthen that relationship with that person? Conversations, Zooms,
I provide value to them.
Yes.
And the way in which I do that is I connect them with other people. There are some people that I meet, and that's why, this year for me has truly been human connection, which sounds crazy because it feels like a very disconnected world. But at the same time, I have found ways where I'm meeting people and connecting them to others that they wouldn't otherwise have met.
Yeah.
And so to do that really provides value and demonstrates that I'm being really authentic. Look, it might not be a good, like, what you need is not really the service that I provide, but I know somebody who does that. So I'm going to introduce you to that person and connect you. And sometimes it's a professional level, and sometimes it's just a personal level, and also then if things come out, like I've had a conversation with them and they told me that they're struggling with some particular area, I am constantly reading on the internet. I'm constantly getting new material. So if I find an article or something, I shoot it to them, say, hey, just thinking of you, maybe this is helpful. It's that kind of thing. That's just like this personal touch, if you will. And I'm not into mass emails and CRMs and all of that. Everything that I do, purposefully is scaled on the point where I can manage it in a one-on-one personal email. Because to me, if you're sending out mass mailings, that's not a personal touch, and that really doesn't build relationship, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but when I receive those types of emails, it's kind of like, I just don't feel that personal touch. And so it's no judgment, but that's just not for me. So I do what feels authentic to me.
I love that. And I think when it comes to who I'm going to call to help with different projects, I can say recently, I'm working in my dining room now because we're redoing our house. We're bringing my mother-in-law to live with us. and we needed work done on the house. You know who I reached out to? I reached out to my community of friends
Right.
and asked for that. And I got referrals of
And
people.
they came
And
through, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
because that's who I'm going to trust rather than just, you could say Yellow Pages. We don't use those anymore, but still.
That's funny. You're dating yourself,
Yeah,
Katie.
exactly. But yeah, definitely. I mean, when you build that relationship and you're not thinking what's in it for me, but being able to offer a service to other people, and that, like you said, the value, and that person's gonna stand out to me. The person who's referred people to me, the person who's, offered great advice, that person I'm gonna reach out to, and I need something. And I think that's really key in a time when we're not connecting. That kind of connection really stands out too, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. You just reminded me of something. It's one of my mantras this year, and I've talked with a number of people about it, and it really aligns with my forward work as well. The idea that we give with no expectation of anything in return. And when we do that, things come back to us tenfold.
Right.
I'm a firm believer.
Right. I love that. I love that. What's another tip you have for our audience?
So there's a couple that I was thinking of that I've actually just talked about recently. The one that I just shared is very, the relationship thing, but do you, and don't compromise or settle. So it's the idea of deciding very clearly who it is you want to serve. And if someone comes into your community that doesn't fit that ideal client and target client, don't work with them, because that's not authentic, right? So refer them out, or be very, very honest with them, and share what you can to add some value to them, but don't compromise. And so when I say that I'm picky and all of that, it's like, okay, if you don't fit what I'm looking for in terms of who I want to help, then I'm not going to work with you. And so it's not to be mean. It's really truly about staying in alignment with your values. So if I were to say, oh, sure, I'll help you, then that gets to be where we're out of alignment. And then we don't, that when we're out
Right.
of alignment, we can feel it, right? And it
Yes.
doesn't feel
And I
right.
can feel it.
For sure.
Right? I mean,
For
everyone
sure.
can feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't compromise. That's big to me. The other tip for business women, and I've talked about this a lot over the last week with several people, is you hear phrases that stick with you. When I was first starting my business, the phrase that stuck with me, and I don't even know who to attribute it to, is the riches are in the niches.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about who you want to serve, you have to get so specific. So I hear people all the time, oh, I want to work with women. I'd love to help women. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's 50% of the population. So who, right? So
Or 60,
what
yeah.
kind of women?
Right.
Down as specific as you possibly can. So you're aligning. So you're drilling down in terms of your ideal client, right? Who specifically do I want to work with, right? So I am women in, this 20 to 40 age range. They're like VP, director level. They're not yet to the C-suite. They're working in corporate. They're working in male-dominated industries. They have families in some cases, and they're trying to figure out their work-life blend. So very, very specific.
Yes.
And that is important not only from your ideal client perspective, but then also from your product offering and your service offering. So who am I going to serve, and how am I going to serve them? Right.
I love that. That's so important. We actually have a course that is launching like any day now on how to identify your ideal client and get your message to them. And
Perfect.
I think
Yeah.
that's really important because in my industry, I've been in the beauty business 18 years. And for years, we would say, oh, my clients, anyone with lips, anyone with skin. It's like, no, no.
That's
So
funny.
that's something I just was working with my team on that too recently on get clear on who you in particular want to serve, and get super clear, because when you can get that clear on your ideal client, others business will come, but you can choose, is that, like you said, is that my client, or is that maybe someone I would refer to that, okay, they're a young mom, 20s and whatever, they might go to someone else, and then I can refer someone else out to them. But
You also
Just getting
truly
really
feel
clear.
fulfilled, right? When you're and find true joy. I mean, I do most of my coaching calls on Thursday and Friday. And so by Friday afternoon, like my cup is filled and I just feel like so excited about being able to really have an impact in these women's lives. You know, I have a great story to share if I can.
Yes.
So one of my clients, she works in nuclear power. She's an engineer and she's working full time on getting her MBA. Well, not full time, but part time while she's working. And just to demonstrate how far she's come. So this is somebody who is really not confident, not comfortable in her own skin. When I started working with her over 6 months ago, and she works in a male-dominated industry, obviously, and she's the only woman in her office, literally. And she's a director. So she's a business development director or director of marketing. And so now here we are 6 months later, and she's having a conversation. She texted me over the weekend on Sunday. She's like, sorry for the text on Sunday. She said, but I'm having a conversation with my boss this week. And we had talked about how she was kind of being groomed to be moved up to a VP level. Well, would you know, this girl, she texted me and she said, I'm thinking of asking them to create a COO position for me. And I was like, you go, girl.
Get it. Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
holy
wow.
crap. If you would have told me like 9 months ago that she would have, you know, had the confidence and really, but she's, and all of that came because she worked on her. She focused on her.
Mm-hmm.
In my work specifically, I tell women in corporate, you know, don't be distracted by the men that are making more than you, by the men that are being heard and you're not being heard. Focus inward, and I'm telling you, it will eventually, people will notice, and it will, but you can't control that stuff, right? You can't control what's happening around you. You can't control how you show up every day and how you respond in those situations. And doing so and leading with that emotional intelligence really forces others to do the same.
I love that. And it comes through. You can see it when someone is feeling right. Like they've got it. They're just going and doing their thing, and the blinders are on to the stuff you can't control.
And it's so exciting to see. Really, it really, truly is.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Now, you recently came back from Breckenridge. We were just talking about this, coaching speakers, TEDx speakers. And it makes me so excited. Something you said was there were, 8 women? How many women did? Yes.
Yeah. So there was 10 talks and 11 speakers, because we had 2 twin 18-year-old girls that did a talk.
Girls. I mean,
yeah,
like that,
which is amazing. Like you and I's daughters up there on stage, right? Can you even imagine that?
I love that.
Yeah,
that
but there was
goosebumps.
Yeah, so it was more than 70% women of the speakers that we had there. And I actually, it's funny because I coached 3 of the speakers and I had 2 of the men. But it was fantastic. It was great. It was such an amazing experience. And the theme for TEDx Breath this year was connection. Oh. And so the people's talks were just so heartfelt. I learn as much by being a speaker coach from my speakers as they do from me, I think.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I'm trying not to sneeze here because I can tell it's coming. Season. You're very involved in your community as well. We talked about your forward and your what kind of things are you going to be doing this year? What are you looking forward to the last quarter of the year? Do you have any big plans?
I'm actually this morning planning a family trip for Christmas time. It's the fourth quarter is one of those times when, I think business really picks up, but at the same time, it's really important to me that I spend quality time with family, especially around the holidays. So my in-laws live in Jacksonville, Florida, and with my daughter coming home from college and the kids having a couple weeks off, I think we're going to spend some time in Florida around Christmas. So I'm looking forward to that. I also am going to be, one thing I didn't talk about is actually my focus is executive coaching and speaker coaching, but I also have branched out into career coaching. So I am working as a coach and a facilitator for a company called Z1 Career Zone out of Denver. And I am in the process of recording sessions for their on-demand program. So that's something that I'm going to be focused on in the fourth quarter, is really getting all those recordings done and getting that up and running so that I can be a licensed facilitator through them and bring
Awesome.
people, especially, this was an important thing for me this year with so many people losing their jobs in the midst of COVID, that I found a way to help or bring them together to find a place where they could get the coaching that they needed. Particularly those people like me who were 25 plus years in a career, who may have lost their jobs, and now all of a sudden they have to figure out how to navigate the workplace and LinkedIn. What the heck is that? And how do I prepare for an interview? And how do I put together a resume? I mean, me personally, when I launched my business, I hadn't looked at a resume in years. So all of that was really new. And so being sort of in the middle of that and having just gone through it myself and having my husband experience some of it this year as well, just really drew me to that. So that's something that I'm probably going to focus on in the fourth quarter, is getting that finished and wrapped up so that I can launch that program.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Because there's so many people out there who've been handed something they weren't planning. This year has been not what they expected for pretty much everyone. But
absolutely. Yeah.
To be in that position, and when you've been working for, in a business for as long as many people my age, that would be a big change to have to start over. So that's awesome to have something like that.
It focuses on that, and even women in transition too. So those that have been stay-at-home moms that are all of a sudden coming back into the workplace, maybe forced to come into the workplace because of the husband potentially losing a job or getting laid off right now. So that's my focus. Again, it's all aligned, right? It's all about women in transition and women in the workplace, and that's really my focus group. Even though Z1 Career Zone caters to college hires, they cater to the whole gamut, even some veterans, transitioning veterans, and that kind of thing. But my focus is specifically on women.
I love that. I've been a Girl Scout leader. I'm a mom of 3 grown daughters now, and it's all about that and what we can put out there for them and help them feel confident.
Lift them up, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I love it. Well, I thank you so much for taking time today. I appreciate it. If people want to get in touch with you and learn a little more about some of your business or what you're doing in the community, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Probably the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. Sandra, I think it's Sandra Baker Lamb is it's just Sandy Lamb on LinkedIn. Sorry, I'm thinking Facebook. Or email slam@focalpointcoaching.com.
slam.
Are you typing?
I'm typing. I know, I'm trying. It takes me a while. At Focal Point
coaching.com. It's all one word. Yeah.
Hopefully I did that right, but we'll correct it. If it's not right, tell me. And
no worries.
Typing and talking is a hard thing to do sometimes.
I know. We can't multitask, though we think we can.
Oh my gosh, not a good idea. Thank you so much. You are such a pleasure
Katie.
to chat with. You are doing so many great things in the community and for women in business. I love it. And just creating those real relationships and looking at what you can offer others rather than what's in it for you. I think it's great. What was that you said? Giving without
any expectation of anything in return.
I love that. And that's where we should be. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. It was great.
Have a fabulous day.
You too.
All right.
Enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah, right. I know it's nice here today. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.